When people ask me, how did you decide to be in favor of marriage equality? I would love to have this dramatic story where I was, reading some book one day, or I came across this person who was particularly heroic, and I thought, my goodness, we've got to make sure this person has rights. But it was not like that at all. I was surprised more that it was a controversial position once I took it. When I ran for Congress in 1998, I was asked the question, and frankly, without all that much thought, without realizing I was stepping into a controversial place, I said, of course I support the right of gay people to be married. Again, I grew up in New York City. The idea of our diversity and celebrating it, making sure that people have rights and protections, is something that maybe we take for granted there. Maybe it's because, I've had so many more exposures to loving gay couples than maybe they have in some other places. But it was not such a dramatic thing for me. It was so intuitive and so obvious. It was not one of the tougher questions that I had to sort out in public life. Now, once I took the position, it did become something that I found myself increasingly explaining and walking people through, and that was a growing experience for me as well. It was a heartening experience to learn that my relatively conservative district, when you ask them basic questions about their beliefs, even if they said they were opposed to gay marriage, ultimately I think people are decent and they want people they don't feel comfortable denying people rights, they want to expand them. So it has been something in my public life I've spent a lot of time fighting for and talking about it, but that original moment was just me saying what I thought fundamentally was right, which is the same way I asked my constituents to approach it. I said, what feels right to you here? Does it feel right to deny people the same rights that you have? Do you really think your rights, I say to my constituents, are diminished anyway by giving other people more rights that are like yours? And I think if people approach it in that kind of a visceral way, I think that they'll realize that marriage equality is a very American ideal. I come from a middle-class household. My mother was a school teacher. My father was the head of a parents' association. I'm Jewish. I kind of come from a place that expects that fighting for other people's rights should always be part of what you're doing when you're in public life. Sometimes we don't realize the other side is going to play pretty dirty, and we have to be kind of ready. We have to confront these things head on. I also believe something else. I believe that it's always the truth when you're trying to expand rights for people, that there is a fairly substantial status quo sense that people have, that they want things to stay the way they are because they feel threatened by change to some degree. These are reasonable insecurities, and they frankly are accompanied every other civil rights movement that we had in this country. I'm not terribly concerned about it. I think time is on our side. The arguments are on our side. I think our basic constitution is on our side, but that doesn't mean we don't need to work hard.